Welcome from Switzerland. The RC brothers say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and may the next year be better than this year, which we're all hoping for. So this is a quick look back at this great hobby, which we started roughly about 1.5 years ago, 18 months ago. And behind me you can see a beautiful Pilatus Porter Balsa plane 4S. I'll get to that in a moment. We just want to review very briefly some of the experiences and some of the decisions we made and some of the experiences we've had. We fly exclusively with Spektrum technology, so we have a Spektrum Smart Charger which we updated to Gen 2, and we have a Spektrum Smart, where is it? There it is, Smart Checker, which replaced our old regular $10 one. Now we have a $50 one or 50 francs one, which is way more expensive but way cooler and has many more features. We continue to fly with our cherished DX6. The tray is from Altec. It's a German company. We can highly recommend it. We fly with a harness and then the DX6 in it, and the other remote control radio that we have is the DX8, again in an Altec tray with a harness. Some of the planes, or most of the planes, normally I bind with the DX6. Some of the planes then I bind in the DX8, the ones that have maybe more features. Normally my son uses the DX8 and I have the DX6, so we body box also very often. A really cool feature to be able to wireless body box, so one person is actually the master radio and the other person, normally my son, right, is the slave radio, and so I can make corrections. So we're complete Horizon Hobby fanboys. We basically have 6, 7, 8, always at least, sometimes more, sometimes 12. But at the moment about 8 planes from E-flite, and maybe one of them is Hobby Zone. I think the Aeroscout is Hobby Zone. We have one Balsa plane, which again I would like to show you briefly. Now obviously it doesn't have the wings on. This is a 1.6 meter, it's a VQ model which we could buy from a friend. But it has all the Spektrum Smart technology, so it has a smart avian ESC, and it has a smart receiver with all of the telemetry that we need, and it has AS3X programmed in it, and it has Safe Select, so we can switch. It has actually 2 levels of safe, which our friend programmed, and one where it's only AS3X. And it's a fantastic plane. And here maybe the first point we're just trying to make of the things that we learned in the past 18 months. This video is really kind of for fans of Horizon Hobby who just want to hear somebody share their experience, and particularly it's more for beginner entry-level people who want to hear some advice. So I just showed the 2 radios, the DX6 and DX8. We are extremely happy with them. Now, of course, you have the NX6 and the NX8 out there. The key difference between the DX6 and the NX6 is that the NX6 actually has a 7th channel, the safe channel, just reserved for safe on, safe off. So you get 6 devoted channels, which is not true for the DX6, and this is why sometimes you need a DX8, because normally every plane, the basic simple plane, has 4 channels. And then if you have retracts and if you have flaps, you're already immediately up to 6 channels. So for a safe select channel, you need a 7th channel. We have not needed anything above that. So I don't know why anybody would want a DX9 or 10, but again, this is maybe for people or NX10 or anything that has 12 or 20 channels. I can see why people who are in the model boat world need that for all kinds of features and moving cannons and moving lights and so on. But for the planes, I don't know. So I think if you're a beginner with an NX6, you're certainly okay, but an NX8 is probably perfect. You're probably never going to need another radio again. We love the Spektrum Smart technology. We have 3S and 4S LiPo batteries, smart batteries, mostly Gen 1. I think we have 1 or 2 Gen 2s. which don't have the balancing cable. We made a decision early on to not to buy any planes anymore, and we sold off all the 1S. We find them way too weak, way too difficult to fly in even the slightest wind conditions. And outside there's always some wind, so don't think there isn't. Maybe on a really warm, beautiful summer evening, maybe not, I don't know. But we cannot recommend. We find those 1S planes toys, even if the technology inside is also amazing and also smart technology. We find them just as toys. 2S, there's hardly anything left. There's a big gap at the moment. I mean, all the fans of the 2S UMX planes, everybody's waiting to see have more Horizon planes come out. I'm sure next year they're going to come out. At the moment, the only one available really is the UMX Turbo Timber, which is absolutely brilliant. You get a lot of plane for not that much money, and it's 5 channels plus LEDs. Nevertheless, although we always had at least 2 of them, we recently decided to sell them off as well, because even those planes are just too small, because we actually fly at a club. We have a big flying field, so it's kind of ridiculous to come with that little plane. And it is, as I said, is also for my son, it is difficult to fly when there is crosswind coming, which we basically always have over our runway. Takeoff, landing, it's always with a western, mostly with a western crosswind. So, another point is we once took it on a little road trip with us in the car, which of course is nice. It's those 1S and 2S planes are easily collectible, and you can stack them up in the boxes and transport them in the boxes. But they're really like toys. I know some people will say, oh my God, how can you say that? No, but they are. And to take them to fly somewhere else where you're not allowed to, you have to be very careful. I mean, anything can injure people. The props are dangerous. Okay, not so much on the 1S and 2S. Nevertheless, that prop of the 2S UMX Turbo Timber can still injure you. And if you just fly around on other people's property, the land belongs to somebody, right? If it's not yours, it's not yours. And if you fly too close to people, you can injure children, babies. Crazy stuff can happen. Crazy stuff happens, Murphy's Law. So be careful, and even just crashing on top with a Turbo Timber, with a UMX on a driving car, if there's a road close by and the guy gets a shock and causes a traffic accident, I think it's idiotic. I've seen too many YouTube videos of real idiots flying them in their backyard. Okay, if it's really a backyard and you're in the countryside, fine. If you're in the middle of a town, I've seen people flying in the road, and then there's a car coming and people with bicycles. I think that's irresponsible. So we only took it once somewhere, and it was a strange feeling, being observed or not being observed. You're not sure somebody watching. Is it? We didn't ask anybody, and we just flew over that field for a few minutes. So it didn't feel good, and so we decided to sell. So we have no more 1S, no more 2S. 6S was a conscious decision not to buy any. We find those planes too big and too fast, and is also a very important consideration if you can get anything into a car or not. And we live in a city, we live in Switzerland, there's not much free space. I mean, you may not believe it, but of course, yeah, the only free space, free quote unquote, is somewhere in the mountain region. Can't drive up the mountain every single time and fly up and down the mountain. If you live in a city and you drive a little bit out of the city, every single open space belongs to somebody, or some farmland that belongs to a farmer, right? You just can't go and fly. So 6S at the moment, that's out for us. 5S does not exist from Spektrum in the smart technology range. So we have 3S and 4S batteries. And a quick remark about the balsa plane. This was just an opportunity to buy one from a friend who set it all up for us with Spektrum technology. Now, you have to understand, this is not a decision between foamies versus balsa. And I think one of the guys in our club very clearly said it. It's not either or. You can have both. And so this is the first one. Will there be a second or third? Maybe. We don't know yet. It's very clear that if something happens, if you have a bad landing, if you have something you need to repair, you need to know way more. you need to know more. You do a pre-flight check much more intensively if it's a balsa plane, and we shall see. I think we very much like the E-flite planes in a certain price category, in a certain battery category, 3S, 4S. We think five, six, $700 or Swiss francs here is just too much for a even if it's very smart for a foamy plane. But I think our most expensive ones are the Apprentice, the RV7, and the new Turbo Timber Evolution. And I think that's just the top. I mean, I don't want to buy anything more than whatever. It's here 350, 390 Swiss francs, which is a little bit more than in dollars. And I think that's really the utmost that I think I'm willing to pay for a foamy. The balsa plane, by the way, didn't cost me much more. It cost me $450, plus then we added another second receiver for safety, so maybe it was $520 in the end, so that's not so much. We love our high wing stall planes. Our most favorite E-flite plane is the Turbo Timber Evolution. I'm definitely going to buy a second plane as a backup. We also like the Concendo Evolution, which is the only glider that we have, motor glider. It's a very difficult to land plane. It needs a lot of space, so be very aware when you buy planes, you know, what you buy and where you fly and how much space you have. Unfortunately, the Concendo Evolution, the wings, those 4 little tiny screws, I just leave them in there. They're not made to come off 100 times or 10 times or 20 times. And it takes a lot of space in our car with the 1.50 meter wingspan and my son sitting in the back, and we have to kind of put the plane in a crooked way so that we can both be in the car with all our equipment and the plane. I wish they would come out with a Concendo Evolution version 2, where they have a different system for plugging in and out and the wings out. I'm sure it will come, because I'm sure it's a very cool plane, and they're changing a lot of planes also with the top hatch access. So I think there will be a couple of other, the whole Timber family is changing. I think it will all be top hatch, hopefully in the future. The Apprentice would definitely need that, so a top hatch access. We love the Aeroscout. It's a great beginner plane. If you're not sure what to buy, if you're not sure what to buy, and if you have the space, again, the question is if you have the space, I think a really good beginner plane to learn on and also to evolve is the Aeroscout 1.1 meter, the Hobby Zone. The Apprentice 1.5 meter is more sophisticated, it's bigger, and if it has a boo-boo or if it crashes, it's a little bit more heartbreaking, and it's also more expensive. The T28 is a great second plane. We already mentioned the Concendo, which is very easy to fly. It's the plane I mostly fly in AS3X. Takeoff and landing always in safe, but up in the air mostly in AS3X. There are other planes I just don't dare to take out of safe other than for a few seconds, and that's just me. I'm an old guy, and I thank Horizon Hobby for all this technology, and I'm sure there's thousands, probably tens of thousands of customers who are just like us, like my son and me, where a dream came true, and we couldn't have done it without that smart technology and the safe technology. And as much as people may yell at you, oh, you're not really flying the plane. Yes, you are. It's not a magic word that says go fly. The plane doesn't take off by itself. You actually still have to do everything right with the radio set up and the plane set up, and you are taking it off and you're landing it and you're flying it. Yes, you have a lot of assistance, but so what? If it's fun and if it's safe, it is right. Don't let other people tell you differently. So we have some planes like the Concendo that we take out of safe pretty often. We have other planes, the faster they are, the faster they move, and the closer you want to fly to the ground. The ground is the limit, the ground is your enemy. The more we are unsafe, and I have no problems with that. We have a great camera, the Runcam 2 4K, which is a great camera to put under a plane with a Velcro tape, and then you can film your flying. You can put it on top of a hat, which we also did, and you can actually fly the takeoff and landing. Can't see the plane very well, of course, it's a little bit too far away. We have RealFlight 9.5S, which we can highly recommend, because finally we can practice with our own planes or check out some other E-flite planes and so on. So clearly something we can recommend. Um, we are, what did I else did I want to say? Yes, so make sure that you are aware of your financial limits, of your the flying place where you can go fly, of how big your planes can be and how fast. Be a little bit careful. I mean, Horizon Hobby also does great advertising. They're a good company, they're a smart company, and everything looks so easy because the people who fly these planes in the advertising obviously are pros. And when you get it, it might not be for you. I've seen way too many YouTube videos of people, particularly crashing those 6S EDFs because they're just not ready and they're not flying or they're not flying in the correct place where they have enough space to land or too many obstacles in the way. And that's a lot of money to lose. So, and again, the safe debate is to me a ridiculous debate. Just do whatever you want. If you are very comfortable just flying yourself and you're doing a really good job, and anybody watching you does not know what actually is going on, just do it. And again, you might have a plane where you can take it out more and just learn it in AS3X. And this is what I think a simulator is very good for. To learn, particularly now this whole pandemic. People don't want to stand too close to each other. Even wireless body boxing, you're still not like 10 meters apart. You're still close, so people are a little bit reluctant to do that. And when you get in that hobby, you need to also understand that you need to learn a little bit maintenance and glue together some foamies and repair a servo, this or that. I'm not very good at that at all, but I've come a long way and learned to repair quite a lot of things. And for some others, particularly electronics, I still depend on some friends from the club. And the advantage of some of the foamies are that, you know, you buy some replacement parts or you can glue it, or in the worst case, if it's a total loss, you didn't lose that much money. My wish for Horizon Hobby would be that they would communicate a little bit better, that they could put on their website or in the social media a few more clear statements. There's so many people who are a little bit in despair. Where are the new models? What happens to the 2S? This and that. And you have to go and search for the information. You have to find the information somewhere in some videos or here or there. But it's not like an officially easy to find statement or update on the container issue, on the shipping crisis, on China, on the pandemic, on this or that. Now, I realize they always surprise people on Thursdays with the new products, and that's not what I find, what I'm complaining about. But I still think there are too many people who are obviously upset. Now, some of them are way too nerdy, way too childish. It's like all these boys waiting for their toys, right? Um, so cool down, you should have enough other planes to fly, and I think Horizon is doing a great job, but not necessarily in communication, but in products, yes. And yeah, I think that's pretty much what we wanted to say. So it's an absolutely great hobby. We're very happy we're in it. We did sell off a couple of planes because we felt we had too many. We did fly planes like the F-15 Eagle. All our planes are BNF, so we never buy PNP. We always have the receiver already ready. We download what we need, the data from Spectrum on an SD card, put it in our DX6 or DX8, and then fine tune, adjust what we want to adjust. And I think voice is very important. It's very important that the two radios are talking to you. I think that's extremely important. I love the harness, that the hands are free. And we're just extremely grateful that we have a place, that we have a club that we could join. And sometimes we're all alone on that field. Sometimes there's another 4, 5, 6 guys. And it's just one of the best hobbies there can be. So I think these were just some thoughts that I wanted to share. I hope they make sense. If not, if you have a question, feel free to comment. Hopefully you liked the video. So push the like button, and if you didn't like it, then just ignore it. And if you have a comment, if it's a bad one, just keep it for yourself, right? If it's a good one, or if you have a question, feel free to post it. So, all the best from Switzerland. The RC brothers are waiting for some better weather again to go out and fly. It's raining at the moment, temperatures are rising. It's very weird. It's December and it's pretty, doesn't feel like December. November was more like December or the beginning, but right now it's awful. But then we'll go out again, fly with maybe the Aeroscout or the Concendo, not taking out the nicest of our planes. We by the way also flew the RV7, great plane, highly recommended. T28, highly recommended. Apprentice anyhow, Aeroscout as well. I mentioned the Concendo. I think these are more or less the 6 or 7 planes we have right now. And unfortunately, like I said, fortunately or unfortunately, all the little ones are gone. We had the Twin Otter, not an easy plane to land. We had the F-15 Eagle, for example. We had the P-39 Air Cobra, nice one, but we're not so much into speed, and I never trust the retracts. Never know if all the retracts open, and particularly the front wheel is always, for every plane that has a movable front wheel that is connected to the rudder servo, I always find them a little bit weak. And if that thing doesn't really pull in right or out right, and then the landing is going to be a catastrophe. There's so many YouTube videos on planes coming in with the front wheel not out or the plane tipping onto the nose, and I don't know, we just wanted to avoid that, and we don't enjoy speed, so we enjoy stall. So the number one plane, if there would only be one that we can have, is the Turbo Timber Evolution. Clearly, hands down, 3S, 4S. We fly it with the 3S 3200. And if you want something different, if you want to be with one battery up for a long time, then the Concendo Evolution is certainly a good choice. And we love that T28. So again, just repeating myself, all the best wishes, Happy New Year from Switzerland.